6 people, including high-ranking members of the South African Police Service, are appearing in the Pretoria Commercial Crimes Court in Pretoria today on charges of fraud, corruption and theft. They were arrested in connection with a police tender of more than 54 million rand from 2016. The suspects were arrested in Durban, Bloemfontein and various areas around Pretoria. And of course, this has been a breaking story since yesterday, just in terms of the curiosity about who these affected individuals are. Suspicions that very high-ranking officials are also impacted. Our colleague Patricia Visagie is covering the story for us. A very good morning to you, Patricia. What have you learned so far?
Well, we're coming live to you from the Pretoria Commercial Crimes Court, where the 6 people who were arrested between Monday and, of course, yesterday are expected to appear. Amongst them, of course, disgraced former top cop, fired former National Police Commissioner Patlane, who's also expected to appear for fraud and corruption charges alongside other top cops. I'm now joined by forensic investigator Paul OSullivan, who has been pushing very hard for justice to obviously take a place for some of the alleged misconduct some of these top cops are implicated in. Just in short, this first appearance, what does it mean for you?
Well, it's another brick in the wall. Patlane and his accomplices, not just the people he's appearing with today, but many other generals in the police. I think we counted 12 or 13 of them. Between them, they ran a reign of terror in the police in this country for the better part of 4 or 5 years. They've all been brought to book. Well, not all of them. There's still a few senior police officials that need to be taken down, and they will be taken down. We're keeping our foot on the gas. We're not going to let go. I started on Patlane as far back as 2016. I started with some of the others as far back as 2012. And for our sins, I was dragged off a plane along with 2 of my small children, detained and tortured for 3 days. And the police thought they had me by the what's-its, and they didn't. I kept the heat on, and now we're starting to see the results. I must say, the good work done by IPID, despite the intimidation, many of our colleagues that we were working with in IPID, they were arrested and charged, along with myself and Sarah Jane Trent. She was kidnapped and driven around the streets for 6 hours and dumped at a rural police station. They did everything they could to stop us from what we were doing, and it backfired on them, and now they're facing the criminal justice system. And I have every confidence that the new leadership in the National Prosecuting Authority, particularly in the ID, and the new leadership that are starting to come to the fore in IPID and the police and the DPCI, they are going to finish the job.
Now, Patlane was the top cop of the country at the time, National Police Commissioner, tasked with fighting crime, running after criminals. But here we see him being, brought to book, accused of serious misconduct, alleged, corruption and fraud. What does that say about some police officers and really just how the system is navigated, perhaps?
Well, we need to not just look at Patlane. We need to look at all the dirty criminals that were appointed by him into senior positions, including his wife. So all these people have to face a criminal justice system. We should then look at the people that put those people in the position to do that, because that was the then prevailing government, which was Zuma and his crooked police minister. So it's a sad state of affairs. The Sundar Commission had a great opportunity to expose all this, and unfortunately they reneged on what they were expected to do. They spent a couple of 100 million rand investigating the criminal justice thread, as they called it, and then they let it go. They didn't report on it. So unfortunately, the Sundar Commission failed the country when it comes to the National Prosecuting Authority and the police, because they were well and truly captured.
You also mentioned earlier that the former NPA head advocate Sean Abrams, you also pointed fingers at him, saying that he did very little to, allow justice to prevail, to go after the likes of Pahlane, for instance.
Oh, he did a lot. He protected all the criminals. So my sadness is that he himself is not standing in court yet. And I would like to see him on trial for the disgraceful way in which he mismanaged the National Prosecuting Authority. He was illegally appointed. He shouldn't have been put there in the first place. And he wasn't qualified for what he was doing. And he went after the good people. And the proof of that is that I was arrested and charged and had to attend court for 6 or 7 different trials, all of which were thrown out of court. I was acquitted, or the cases were withdrawn. And then people like Robert McBride, General Johan Boysen, Anwar Dramat, there's too many to name, the SARS 3 as I call them, they were all arraigned on fake charges, and we can lay all the blame of that to Zuma and his appointees in the criminal justice system.
You have expressed confidence in the fact that it seems like there is action, the wheels of justice are beginning to turn, but you also mentioned that Pahlane is a slippery character. He has found ways to manage the country's criminal justice system. Do you think this time around maybe things might be done in a just and fair manner?
I've no doubt that the wheels of justice will continue turning, and he will face the music. He tried every trick in the book to have the blue lights trial stopped and thrown out of court, and he failed. And now he and his accomplices, including Vimpi Mantata and a whole host of other police officials, are now going to be facing trial there, and he's going to face trial here, and there are many more charges coming. If he thinks this is the last time that he's going to be arrested, he's made a big mistake. There's a lot more coming.
These top cops are linked to the country's crime-fighting nerve center, and that is crime intelligence. And now we see all these rogue elements, and it's not the first time. In fact, perhaps for the last decade, we've been seeing the controversy that comes from that particular important, crime-fighting leg. What does that say about crime intelligence? Seemingly, it's been captured so badly over the last decade, perhaps longer than that.
I'd say probably 15 or 20 years. Crime intelligence has been nothing more or less than a piggy bank for all the people that worked in crime intelligence and their family and friends. It was a family-run business by Richard Mdluli for many, many years, and the rottenness in the police service was so bad that everybody that got a senior position and access to funds in crime intelligence abused it. And instead of going out and gathering crime intelligence like they were supposed to do, they were busy on the trail of people like myself or Robert McBride or Johan Boysen and others, and they were using their time and energy to subvert the course of justice and protect criminals.
Right, thank you so much. And on that note, we await the arrival of the 6 men, including a former top cop, Khomotso Pahlane, who's supposed to make their first appearance here at the Crime Commercial Court here in Pretoria. Now, Pahlane was arrested yesterday at his home, on the outskirts of Pretoria. And as we've been saying, that the arrests have been happening since Monday, some of them being arrested at airports and so forth. And this is a long-standing investigation that has been coming, where they've been looking into some of the allegations leveled at the top cops, including, of course, Pahlane. And you would know that he is of controversial nature. That is also how he lost his job, how he was suspended, and his suspension that he obviously fought in the Labour Court at the CCMA, and even there he lost that bit to save his job and be reinstated in the police. That after they found significant evidence that showed his role in some of the allegations, some of the investigations that were taking place linked to serious controversial tenders, obviously linked to this particular case, a tender within the police that is over 54 million rand. We've heard from, of course, the NPA saying that more arrests are expected, but for now the attention falls on the 6 that were arrested since Monday. We've seen an indictment. It's over 6 pages long that obviously stipulates the case on the men, the case that the state is expected to present to court today. Bail applications are also expected to be brought forward, but whether that will be dealt with in detail, we'll see how exactly matters will be panning out.